the party of young fellows, robust, friendly, singing with open mouths their strong, melodious songs.
I want to start by saying how grateful I am to have this chance to be with you. Taryn and Don, our AV team, George, Michael, Pasha, Jeep, y'all have worked so hard to keep us connected. I have some thoughts to share about the way our world sets us up for our work, and I'm grateful to get to share them with you. I'm going to sneak an extra reading in here. It's an important enough reading to me that I had it written on the body. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave, whither thou goest. Do it with thy might. Thy might. Today, on this Labor Day weekend, I want you to pause. I want you to contemplate thy might. Do you know what you are truly capable of? In September of 2011, I recall trying to awaken one particular student of mine to his potential. Mark spent all his free time playing video games and going to parties, which I understand. I possessed the same lack of direction and motivation at his age. Now, though, he was sitting in my office, scraping by with a C in my quantitative analysis class. He wanted to know what he should do with this class and with his life. I told him that there's nothing so truly terrifying as the thought of what we might be capable of if we really set our minds and our hearts to the task of changing the world. I remember shivering a little bit myself at that thought. Today, Mark is doing so well. He's a good man. He's living a good life. He's married with children, a good job. He's happy and he's well. Helping him build a new way to be, well, that was good work. I love Whitman's song. It fills me with such longing, blithe and strong. What a way to be. What a way to abide. Each singing what belongs to them and to none else. Singing with open mouths their strong, melodious songs. Can you hear it? Can you hear them, the varied carols? Such a vision for what work can be, could be, might be. And for some, a vision that if ever it was only fleetingly, maybe never was. What a joy, what a blessing, what an accident of fate, what a scarce opportunity to have the work at hand be something to sing about. When you set your hands to the task in front of you these days, do you sing? Now, there's a story that we tell ourselves about work, and it's a good story. It's a compelling one, that this is what work is. The story is that everything happens for a reason, that people get what they deserve, that if you put one foot in front of the other, you put your shoulder to the wheel, you put your nose to the grindstone, you too can get a nice 3-bedroom, a better future for your children, a share of the great American enterprise. For many Americans, this was held out as a vision of hope. Who wouldn't yearn for the Norman Rockwell depiction of a life well lived? For some of us, this was a cakewalk. For others of us, it was a crapshoot, something you could pull it off if you're lucky. For a lot of us, this has been a brass ring forever out of reach. Lucy holding out the football for Charlie Brown to run up again and again and again to be met with disappointment. For still others among us, this story was never meant for them. The promise of America was never intended to be a promise to every one of us. For me, it's a story I was raised on, and this is a complicated sermon to give. It has been a complicated set of lessons to learn. It's been complicated not because it's not a good story, but because it's not good enough. It is not good enough. It is not worthy of us to believe that if you work hard, you get ahead. I once dreamed of that, of a nice job with a nice house where I would be left alone and no one would expect too much of me. The world we were raised in teaches us to slowly limit our dreams about our work. If I had lived out my dreams, I know that I would have lived a life of quiet desperation. I would have acquiesced to the mediocre expectations of my limited imagination. I would never have questioned my role as a man, as a white man, or the privilege, the sense of entitlement that I inherited, developed, inhabited as a result. It's a complicated thing. The dreams of my past were noble, but in hindsight, they sometimes look ignoble. They weren't. I was simply mistaken. I was limited in my perspective. The dreams I dream today are so much greater, and I hope against hope that they also fall short, that the promise of the future is so much greater that I can someday again revel in how far we have come from where we are, where we were when I dreamed my limited dreams. My hope today is to complicate your dreams, to challenge them. My hope is for you to dream bigger, for you to not trust your dreams, but to have faith in a future beyond them, even when the world around us falls far, far short of where we know it should be. We are not there yet. I ask again, when you set your hands to the work in front of you, is it easy for you to do it with thy might? Do you sing in the year 2020 a song that belongs to you and to none else when you work? When I walk on my campus, or when I pass by my children's elementary school, or when I briskly and anxiously enter the grocery store, someone else's workplace, I don't hear people singing. I don't feel like singing the work that I'm doing. Now, don't get me wrong. I do still sing. When I empty the dishwasher to 90s dance punk, or I try to help my children with their school, another Zoom call, or I try to help UUCA with the work we're doing together, again, another Zoom call. Both of those, though, with people I deeply love, it comes in flickers. I can still tap into that current, that electrifying arc of human progress. And I don't want this to be ahistorical. When I cast my mind back 100, 1,000, 10,000 years, I know how far we have come. We have come so far. I have a roof that mostly works. We have a few quotes. We're having it replaced. We have food in the fridge. I have a warm bed. These were all the aspirations my ancestors worked for. All of this freedom has been hard won. And yet, I don't know. Is this what the American dream was? Did my grandfather, who dropped out of school after the 8th grade so he could work to support his 10 siblings, when he took on 3 jobs, broke his body down so all his children could go to college, was it so I could have that 5th streaming service? Did he do it so we could roll the dice and hope for the best with medical expenses? Did he go to his church every morning, light a candle and pray before he worked his 3 jobs so that the S&P 500 would climb? Does it dignify his sacrifices if I respond by pulling up the ladder, if I build a wall so no one else can carve out a slice of an ever-narrowing pie? When my dad, when I was a kid, when he spent night after night, a couple times a month for years in a crappy hotel in Seoul, South Korea for work, and my mom, she cared for 3 unruly children, all of us under the age of 7, was it so I could burn my Saturday mornings answering emails? Is that what they were working for? I missed him. I missed my dad when he was gone. Was this it? Was this the vision? A pandemic-stricken society with all of us huddled in our homes, duking it out on social media? Is this worthy of us? Is this worthy of you? Let me tell you what I was taught to believe. I was taught to believe that in America, anyone can become anything. If you work hard enough, we all have the same chances. That work is not only its own reward, but that our salary, your salary, is a measure of your value to society. I was taught to believe in meritocracy. The hardest lesson of my adult life has been breaking that down. I majored in computer science when I started my adult life because what nerdy kid didn't want to be Bill Gates? I was taught that if you push hard, you can get ahead. But you know what else I was taught? And this part was quiet. It was subversive. If I'm being honest, and if there's a place to be honest, it's here at this pulpit, this was the voice of the revolutionary prophets in my ear. I was taught that there's no such thing as getting ahead. That's our first principle right there, our inherent worth and dignity. If our worth and dignity are inherent, then how can you get ahead? How can you get ahead unless someone else falls behind? And how can you abide if your neighbor, if your cousin falls behind? Let me tell you what I learned. I learned from you, from our principles, that you are not your salary. Your value is incommensurable. I learned from you how to love you, and I could not be more grateful. So that Ecclesiastes reading I snuck in. After the tattoo part, there's another great passage. I saw something else under the sun. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. Neither is the bread to the wise, nor the wealth to the intelligent, nor the favor to the skillful. Rather, time and chance happen to us all. Time and chance happen to us all. Time and chance. Such a terrifying passage for my younger self. So interested in control, if I'm being honest. Such a liberation to me now, set free from fear. It is a revolutionary vision, a world I can barely fathom. I want it to liberate you as it liberates me. It was terrifying, and now it has set me free. Isn't that just how the capital T truth works? People get what they get. There is no such thing as deserve. We are all worthy. The work I do today, I was born to do. But see, there's the thing. I was born into this, even in the world in which we live. And if I was born to do this, born to do work that would help me get ahead, I cannot abide that. I cannot abide getting ahead. Because if I'm getting ahead, someone else is being left behind. I cannot abide meritocracy. It teaches us that those who deserve shall have, and those that do not shall not. I cannot abide a world in which my sisters and my cousins, my siblings and my brothers should be left out. I will not abide it. And here is the greatest revelation that I've ever discovered. It doesn't have to be this way. All of this is human institutions. All of this is constructed. And we, Unitarian Universalists, we changed the words to the songs 500 years later. We can certainly change the bylaws of the businesses in which we work, the policies of the places in which we spend our days. If anyone can put our shoulders to the wheel of wheels, if anyone can dismantle the grindstones, it is us. None of this is determined. It is to us to decide what is worthy of us. The world we are in, it is the result of rules, of incentive structures that we did not choose. I can tell you, as an economist, it is not set up for our success. In a time of desperation, with clarity of vision, there are two things that bring me back, things that feed my spirit, that give me hope. The first is that I have been handed this wisdom, that I have all this supporting me, that when I put my hand to the work in front of me, that I am not alone. I carry all of you with me. We do the critical work of passing from one generation to the next, not only the resources, but also the rationale for our progress. That is the first. The second is that none of this is done. When I think about the people who stand in our way, they lack the conviction, the clarity of purpose, the vision. Beyond that, the faith to stand against people who can unflinchingly assert that every person's worth and dignity are inherent, that each person deserves their search for truth and meaning to which we are accountable, and that our community will be beholden to those searches through the democratic process, that we will honor our worth as we honor the interconnected web of all being. So what are we to do? If you are with me, if I have brought you with me, then here we are, looking at our hands. We have orders, but they're the wrong orders, and then there's the job in front of us. What are we to do? What am I asking of you? Honestly, I wish I knew, but it depends. If you're still hanging on to meritocracy, what I ask of you is to roll it around. Ask yourself if you can really go to the wall for it. For some of you, I'm asking you just to know that you are not your salary. You are not what someone else says you are. Bring your Unitarian Universalism to work with you. Let it challenge others' conceptions of you. For others of you, I'm asking you to bring your Unitarian Universalism to work with you and wield it to challenge others' conceptions. Are you okay with your organization's hiring practices, with the way that it treats sick leave, with the work to which you put your might? If your work is behind you for the most part, did you get those 3 bedrooms? Good on you. It is important to make good on the dreams of our ancestors. But before you renovate, has your neighbor had access to that dream? My kitchen linoleum is peeling, and I hate it. I hate it. But I don't hate it as much as I hate the fact that there are children in juvenile detention, or that there are addicts who need treatment, or that there are elections that some are trying to rig. So my linoleum is going to stay peeled for a while. To what do you commit the work you do? This religion we have, it will change the world. And the way it will do that, it's us. We are the moral agents. The work ahead of us, the work I ask of you, is all the work you are already doing, infused with the principles we all hold dear. Work in this time is not what it ought to be. And we, as always, are the vanguard, as it should be. But as the scripture says, whatsoever our hand findeth to do, we shall do it with our might. We will build a new way together. Our new home? Well, we are going to raise the money to get there. If someone calls you, asks you to help us move into our new place, remember that this is a generational call, and say yes and do what you can. If you are new here, if all of this is new to you, savor it. I was hesitant when I first came. Honestly, I was hesitant, but let me tell you, what we have here is a new way, a better way, and you should stay to see it out. It's going to change you, I promise. You can't know how good it's going to be, but it's going to be so good. I envy you. Thank you for being here. You are the wellspring from which all of this arises. If you're new here, we owe you. Take what you need. Keep coming back. Now, I have not done justice to the ways in which work is structured to harm us, to the unfairness that means that my cushy office job pays much, much more than any of the painful, unpleasant, exhausting warehouse jobs that I worked before I got through college. The unfairness that meant, by accident of birth, I was just passing through, while other people worked through back pain for maybe 30 years, many of them treated by myriad other powers that be as second-class citizens. I have not done justice to the ways in which my gender, the color of my skin, have meant that interviewers treat me differently, that my workplace is not also a place where I'm at physical and emotional risk in jarring and traumatic ways. Or that all the work I do at home, serving my family, raising my children, is treated by society as extra credit, not a baseline expectation. I have not done justice to the ways ancestral pain can make all of this harder, can add hurdles, to all the ways that who we are gives lie to the fiction that everyone is playing the same game on the same difficulty setting. Every morning we wake up and we greet the new day. I have not done nearly enough justice to what that day looks like. Here now, me and you, in these moments with my words, we have but 15, maybe 20 minutes to envision, to encompass, to try to articulate what we do in 2,000 hours each year for decades, the work of a lifetime. I cannot do it justice here. What I ask of you is to demand justice for all of those working hours all the rest of the year. Bring those hours back to this community when they transcend and when they fall short, to sanctify some of those efforts with your gifts of talent and time and treasure, and to demand more at many a turn. Honor the sacrifice of generations past. Tell us what our community had better honor instead. Meritocracy cannot hold, but there is a better way, a new way, and we cannot build it without you. So build it with us. Share your dreams of a new way. And then, as we work, sing to future generations. Sing of the sun, the moon, the snow, the wind, the mason, the woodcutter, the shoemaker, and all of the mothers. A song of all of us, building a new dream together. What will it look like? Honestly, I don't know. Maybe it has the smell of wood shavings and leather and bacon fat. Maybe it involves changing the baby again and again and yet again. I just want work for you, for us, that is worthy. Let us put our hands to the task in front of us, build our new way together, and do it with our might. Amen.
Amen. Whew.